If you feel like you're a big brain nerd who is constantly seeking knowledge and discovery and feel like you might be overwhelming the people that you love, well, I think the best case for you is to open up a camera, whether that's your iPhone like mine or otherwise, and speak into a camera and have a conversation. Because there is nothing better than finding like-minded individuals who are equally seeking the information that you discovered to then put it into a practical form of, or a practical message rather, to then push out into the ether and find how to get more discoveries. And this builds on what I spoke about in my last video earlier this week about visionary solitude. And it's a difficult journey to be alone in the ways that you think, in your sphere of influence and the people around you. Notice how earlier I didn't say pick up a camera to influence the people around you. No, pick up a camera so that you can find the people out of this 7 billion people populated earth, to find the people that want to hear what you have to say. Because as I continue to share my story, and remember, I was the person that felt like I had to hide myself, that I only did well on one-on-one conversations, that I only did well with in person, and I had all these different excuses for myself, but I had a lot of ideas. And while it did work, like a lot of people, I mean, it's common to only want to expose yourself to a small group of people, especially because you can feel very sensitive about what you've discovered, or they might feel sensitive about what you've discovered. And when you will begin to notice how you breaking past the comfort layer in that zone, because once you start rising, you're gonna hit that wall with the people around you. And it's no hard feelings, because the things that you learn, like, they just might not want to hear about it. Just like as you transition and you begin to clash in interests or differ in interests with those people, you don't want to hear what they're talking about. And that's okay. And it's about finding other people that you could bring together. And it's not to say that your good friends, your family aren't going to understand you later. It just means that right now you have to go find the people that's for you. You have to go find the people that are seeking out your information, because what you've discovered is immensely invaluable to the world that is seeking what you are now discovering. And I felt like it was imperative and important to touch on that, because when it comes to visionary solitude and having to be alone, this is the point where you can't cross-check that information with somebody else, because if they don't know what you know or haven't gone through what you've learned, I mean, the filtration system of the information that's being collected and how the conversation may persist is more so a regurgitation of emotion rather than a regurgitation of intellect. I wouldn't even say a regurgitation of intellect. It's more so a processing of intellect. And while you can be the person to process as you have that conversation, it is important to let that other individual know, hey, I am still processing what this is. My answers could change the more I dive deeper into it, but to be able to separate your emotions from the conversation at hand to prevent any type of unnecessary escalation is what eventually leads you to that isolation, because you want to gather all of your thoughts and present yourself in a way that might not be so jarring to other people. I'm not speaking to everybody, because some folks, they are okay with how people, they don't care how people perceive them, and that's the way that we should actively be. But when it comes to intentionality, you do reserve yourself and observe more frequently how to navigate in the world. And again, like anything else, there's goods and bads that come with that. And I don't even say bad like in a negative way, but bad as in like sometimes it takes more of you to have to step back into realizing how to interact with the world as you continue to evolve and change in that process and develop through that process. And the best way to do it, which I began doing for a short period of time, but I was just too embarrassed to post, is journaling through videos. And thank goodness, I mean, it was for a short period of time, this other part of my life, but with my partner, we're distant. And so when he's away, at one part of our distance, we said that we'll do video journals and just kind of speak through what we've gone through. And maybe one day I'll share a little bit more about what I was going through, or return back to speaking on some of those points. But I know for me, again, that was more of that intimate space. And when you hit that ceiling and want to break out of that, I think YouTube is a great space to really talk about how you've conceptualized different things and see what comes out of it. Because there's no better way to know how your answers are clicking and how you can actually be of service to people unless you put yourself out there in front of an audience that doesn't know what you're about, who doesn't know you, who is really just solely interested in seeing how you can provide information in a way that is resourceful to them. And the more you gain feedback from that, as opposed to when I use just, I also want to clarify, when I use the word just, it's from the term like to justify, and not like how it's being utilized as like just as something you could brush off. Like, no, just holds weight. And so when you're just speaking to someone that knows you very well and sees you in this set image of who you are, they will have their own fears that can be imposed upon you to make you then second guess whether you should move forward. The coolest thing about YouTube and their algorithm of what I've discovered, when you make a YouTube channel, you don't tell the people that you know that you created a YouTube channel, because that messes with the algorithm itself and it'll get confused as to who your audience is. If people are just here to support you, which is great, but their niche is not anything of what you're sharing, YouTube is going to get confused, and it's going to take longer for you to be able to grab and capture your audience to retain views. And if you are that big brain nerd like I am and want to see how this works from an objective lens, and really to push out like how can I get in front of enough people to serve and support them, then you have to shift the way that you think of how support is going to be received to you. And YouTube is your playing ground. This is like the great social experiment. It's one of the coolest platforms that I've been on because of how specifically curated you can be. Now I know social media, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, all these other platforms, they're curating and creating their platform in a space that is similar to YouTube, but the biggest power that I think YouTube has is its long form, and how it is really a base. When anybody's like, oh, where'd you learn that from? I learned that from YouTube. I know now more people are able to say, I'm learning that TikTok. I just don't know the TikTok platform enough to really vouch for it, but I know for a fact with YouTube, when it comes to scaling to greater degrees, to me, I've seen it to be more superior. And so in that, and as you navigate what solitude feels like as you lead and grow into a state of solace in your thoughts and being at peace with your thought process and how you think, you naturally are going to have people that value what you have to say gravitate towards you. And that expands your world of the people around you that want to grow with you. It's an incredible thing. I know for me, I was like, I want to grow with my friends, I want to grow with my people, and I still can. But because it looks so different, that means I have to go venture out into a space where I'm going to be alone. I'm not going to know anybody. But how else are we going to be able to find people if we don't put ourselves out there? And if you're an introvert like I am, I'm usually very quiet around larger groups. I always tell people, if it's a group larger than more than 4 people, including myself, I'm usually gonna like just take a step back. But if we're gonna speak at the highest level when it comes to communicating, being able to articulate your thoughts to an audience that doesn't know you and is seeking to understand your perspective and what you could bring to the table, YouTube can be a really great space. So I say all this to say, talk in front of a camera, get used to it, process your thoughts. I like to practice. Like in my last video, I started practicing more of a presentation style formatting to see how that works. I'm also utilizing these bonnet late night visionary reflective moments to speak my mind from where I'm at, from the heart. So it's a balance of preparation and practicing how to articulate my thoughts as if I'm having a conversation, because that's really what I want to have. And I love the engagement and the feedback that comes in to see, okay, I'm on the right track. Side note, I started exploring on Reddit, and it was so eye-opening because I threw a scenario out there about hustle and grind culture in LA, which I will touch on at some point throughout my channel, and how it can be very misleading in a sense of prosperity and more so leads you towards burnout. And I got a lot of views or eyes on it. I got like about some 3,000 views, and it was one of my first posts. I was shocked. I mean, I don't know how Reddit works, but I thought that was pretty cool and something to think back on, because the things that you have to say are valuable. That's really the lesson of the day. So don't hold yourself back. Don't feel like you have to become a hermit or curl into a little corner as you navigate the stage of visionary solitude to get to your next level. There's different ways to explore that, and that doesn't mean to close yourself off from your friends and family. Like, go love on the people that love you. And don't hold anything against them if they don't want to hear what you got to say. It's okay. Just go find the people that do want to hear what you have to say. And one of the best ways to do that is to come onto these pages. So thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. If you made it to the end, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video.